All right, in the 3.2 notes example 2, as a reminder about the scatter plots, once we have our information entered, my list 1 is my x values, list 2 is y values, list 3 is a separate set of y values. So list 1 and list 2 together give me the information about Florida's population over time. List 1 and list 3 together give me the information about Pennsylvania's population over time. So to find the regression, i.e. to find the equation for this information, we need to go to Stat, Calculate, not a linear, quadratic, cubic, or quartic regression, but all the way down to Logistic Regression. And then we hit Enter, and we want to make sure to be using list 1 and list 2. This way we'll get Florida's equation. Go down to Calculate. Okay, now if I want to store this into an equation, I do second enter, which inputs my previous entry, comma. I want to save it as a variable. So vars, y vars, I want to save it as a function. And let's save it into y1. And what this will do, just like we were looking at in chapter 1, this will save it in the y equals, and it will put my equation there. Okay, now we want to do the same thing for Pennsylvania, and we're going to save that as y2. So we go back into Stat, Calculate, up to Logistic, Enter. But this time, instead of using list 1 and list 2, I want to use list 1 and list 3. So we do second, and then above 3 is list 3. So now we're going to use list 1 and list 3 to get Pennsylvania's population over time, down to Calculate. And then again, what I want to do is store that into a function. So second, enter, comma, variable, y variable, function, but not y1 because that currently has Florida's population over time. I want to save it as y2, enter. And so now when I go into the y equals, it will have both population functions. So if I want to plot these along with the points, I can go into plot 1, turn plot 1 on and plot 2 on. And then like we did in class, for stat plot, I want to use list 1 and list 2 for plot 1, but plot 2, I want to use list 1 and list 3. So I go into plot 2 and change the y list to list 3. Now when I graph it, I need to make sure I'm looking at the proper screen. So when we made our window in class, we looked at the years are all between a value of 0 and 110. And then the y values, or the populations, are all between 0 and 20. So now when I graph it, I will, let's see, window, 0, 110, min, max, min, I changed the y scale instead of the y max, 20, change that back to the scale of 1. Okay, so we have the information for Florida and the information for Pennsylvania. So what can we glean from this data? Well, because we know the equations, I know that my C value for Florida is 26.7. So my maximum population for Florida is 26.7 million. My C value for Pennsylvania is 12.8. So my maximum population for Pennsylvania is about 12.8. Okay. We can also say, because of the graph, that Florida has their population boom kind of toward the end of the 1900s, beginning of the 2000s, whereas Pennsylvania already had its population boom at the end of the 1800s, beginning of the 1900s. Okay, so we can say where it increased in order to say what the population was doing around those times. Okay, for the example 3, go ahead and watch the other video that's posted on Blackboard.